much, Selena. And thank you very much, Ms. Bahai, for this invitation, Ms. Felipe Lopez, and all of the team for this organization. I'm very lucky to be here and be part of this event. And hopefully, you resist until the end. Yeah, I'll talk about the design because let's see, so Orin Ruin, of course. We all know about this, but let's just that the construction process is one of the biggest culprits in terms of that negative impact to the environment. So that's why bamboo is such an important resource, as we all have seen during the presentations, as a plant and also in construction. So just as a plant, it is strategical. So this is my office in Milan, and you say, why are you working in Milan with bamboo? I was born in Colombia, so I grew up in Colombia. I grew up in my part of the holidays were in my grandparents' farms with plenty of coffee, bamboo, and bananas. So I got this thing kind of cake was inside of me, and I never thought I was going to study architecture at the time. But then, when I did, I got into this. I brought this into Italy. At the beginning, it was really hard. In fact, I will show you later. The first projects were basically sponsored. I had to find sponsors because I didn't have the client. I had to invent a client. And since then I've been able to be in places, special places like here today. There's this labyrinth in Italy, which is amazing. Luis Felipe has been there. It's the largest bamboo labyrinth, and I was curator for some events. Unfortunately, things has changed due to the passed away of the owner of the visionary. But anyways, it's still a magical place. And had the chance to publish the first, since I was in Italy, I was able to be the first because I was like in the right place. First articles, first book on how to build in bamboo, etc. And then, in work with some colleagues that are here, were part of the construction task force. And I'll start from a friend of in common with this Felipe, with Simon Velez. Something happened when I was starting my and this project changed my way of seeing bamboo. Because it's in Italy, and Simon, he was working for an association called it was in 2002, called Emissione Zero, which is zero emissions. It's a ONG Milan that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. And he was supposed to come to Italy and do a workshop. So he sent some sketches and he sent the bamboo, for Colombian bamboo, to Italy. But he couldn't come at the end. There was some problems and he couldn't come. And these associations found themselves with how we're going to do that. So they were desperately looking for somebody. Somebody told them, I don't know how, they came to me, say, you're Colombian, you must know about bamboo. And luckily I did know something about bamboo. And I did these drawings. I did the drawings. These are the sketches, but I explained them how to build like Simon Velez builds. And Walter Lee said he came to this workshop, and we're following the workshop. So here I understood that how important, and we've seen in previous presentations, is the manpower. People who know how to build with bamboo. There was nobody that knew how to build with bamboo. So this building looking from far away is nice, but when you go into the detail, it's a miracle actually. And it's the first permanent structure in Italy and in Europe. So I did all these details explaining how to build it. I was there following the construction site just because I was there, but I understood that you see how to do the fish mouth by people that have never done before without the instrument. We were going crazy. But we did it. And these associations, they were amazing, and students from all of my students at the time in Politecnico and other people came, and based on these drawings, then it became articles, it became kind of something really powerful. And this took me to think, how can I build with bamboo in Italy, or in a place where there's no manpower? you see, we didn't match the right place. It was impossible. So all the building is all like that, but it's there and it's a permanent structure. I was working at the time in a construction site, a big building in Milan. I was working for an architect, and I was the construction, let's say, supervisor from the architectural point of view. And I talked to some engineers. I said, well, this building is illegal. So I said, we can't. And the association, they're going to be going to jail, because, and me, I'm also a little bit involved. I said, you have to help us. And so he managed, he did all the testing. He wanted to destroy it because he got into, he said, no, come on. So he just put enough weight to test, to understand, and he assumed the responsibility of the structural calculation of the building. And that's how it became a permanent building. So this is what came out after. This is the first project I started by myself. And I had no client, but I wanted to do a pavilion. And this I designed the first construction system. With the budget I got, with the sponsors I got, it was stainless. It was steel cut with a laser. And so this joint, I could build it myself. And we did testings. Well, it was then, publishing. This is an architecture book by the International Organization of Architects, Union of Architects, which is partner with the United Nations. And so I thought, how can I make, based on my previous experience working in architecture and engineering offices, and knowing the industry in Milan, I think only people that know how to build facades can build bamboo construction. So I designed this joint mixing metal with bamboo. Did a geometry, architects were fixed with beauty and design, and in Italy, it had to be something appealing for Italy. A bamboo building that we see in some other places in the world, or building like in Colombia, would not be that appealing. So I started working with this kind of geometries and techniques, and with the people working in my office, and then the students that I had in Politecnico di Milan at the time, they started journeying, and it became like a little workshop once or twice a year, and we were building these kind of structures. So this is talking basically about the joint, but you'll see that the joint, we passed from stainless steel, a one-story construction, to aluminum casting in three-story buildings until now. And with this, I've been having the opportunity to build a little bit around several places. So I'll go into the projects now. So this was the first one that I mentioned here, sponsored. I went knocking doors. Fortunately, I worked for a famous architect before, and so I had met a lot of people in the meantime. Arup Engineering, they did the engineering for me for this project. The metal was done by an important metallic company in Italy, the flooring also. So I got all of these materials, and with these materials, I together with my team, we built it. And with some prototyping ourselves. It was me and going to the engineering department in Politecnico, and they got into it, and they got into the idea, and there were so many people supporting, and Arup was checking the results and the calculations, so it became kind of an experience. And here ourselves, so for following the codes, because in Italy, if you build, they come to check. They come to check, and if they find that people that are not authorized, that have no, insurance, etc., will be sued. So we just built it on the floor. And the little construction company, a small construction company, but there was the budget, they just put it up and placed it on the steel. So the steel columns are for different reasons. First, because all the electric parts coming to the steel columns, they cannot touch the bamboo. It will be not following the laws and the regulations in Italy. So all the electric parts are in the metallic. And also for finding is the research of contemporary language that can work for Europe at the time, for Italy especially. So this was the structure that has like the Italian proportions, looks, etc. And it was there for 4 years or so. Then we had to move it away. It was supposed to last only 2 weeks for the design week in Milan, but they like it. The city council, the city office, Milan City Council. They lent me for 1 week the place, but then they said to me, can we keep it? Can we use it? People like it for the schools around the neighborhood. So I stayed there for 4 years. Luckily, because I didn't have the energy to take it down. We were exhausted, right? And so when we took it down, we cut it into slabs. We wanted to see how the guava that came from Colombia, because actually it was a gift from Colombia. I thought they were joking in Colombia when I asked for bamboo. They said to me, the Colombian Bamboo Association, they said to me, no, there's this guy, he can probably give you this. It's called Bamboo de Colombia. You can give them. One day they called me from Genova port. Say, are you Mr. Cardenas? Yes. Oh, we have a container for you with 100 bamboo poles. And I was like, wow. 6-meter long bamboo. And I was like, where am I going to put 100 bamboo poles? And the container got to Milan, so I had to in friends' gardens. I was putting around. There was a crazy guy going around Milan with a van with bamboo poles, going out of the windows. It was crazy. Anyways. And so after 4 years, we opened it, we cut it this way, not only for doing more research, but also for seeing how was the bamboo inside. Because outside it looked perfect after 4 years, for winter, summers, etc. Tropical bamboo, and it looked perfect. But when we cut it, inside also was perfect. There were no parasites, there were no insects. So everything was going quite well. And we experienced this new geometry. We said bamboo is difficult to make perfect forms. Let's see if it's true. So we tried to do this. It was experimenting. We got to and then this is a variation of the joint, again, to be able to construct without specialized manpower. And also including materials like glass, contemporary materials, making. You have to take into account also that these first projects not, but the future ones we have to make real buildings that have facades that are enclosed, that can resist 4 seasons, etc. And so, here we did this bamboo dome with these connections that we mounted and then dismounted, another design week, following the proportions of the Renaissance again. So it's a 3D golden proportion. And then we got the opportunity to make a bamboo structure in the Expo Milan in 2015. This is a very important event that now is in Osaka, Japan, and in 2015 was in Milan. We won 3 bids. We had a lot of work at that time. We were really lucky, and one of the bids we won was a Colombian pavilion. But we could not make a Colombian pavilion in bamboo. The Colombian government actually at that time was not supporting the idea of bamboo. Can you believe? So we mentioned Colombia today several times. I am Colombian, but I'm not showing that right today because it's laminated wood. That's the maximum I can reach into natural materials in the context of the government at the time. But this project for a Chinese real estate, we made an exhibition in bamboo. And they wanted Chinese bamboo. I still had some Colombian bamboo in some French garden, but they wanted Chinese bamboo. So they said, you get it, and we give you the complete contract. So I came to China, to Anji. I went to the forest and to choose bamboo together and to learn more about treatments, etc. Then we rented this space and we did a small workshop there. And we built this exhibition that also had, so it was very interesting because it's a structure, self-supporting, doesn't touch the walls, and it was for us a structure, an opportunity to develop 2 senior structures with dry-mounted connections. That's what we became specialized. So people walk under, so it has to pass all the tests of structural, of safety, etc. And it's a bridge that is not yet built, but you can see that with straight poles and these connections, you can actually make curve forms. Oh, there's a little video. Let's see. Or you can help it. Yeah. How is it? For going back. I already showed you my presentation. You told me before. Sorry, I'll show you a video. I hope this. How can I do to show the video? Just a second. Maybe you should do it from the computer probably. But it's not that important. Just like a summary or something. Italian television, it's a bamboo trend started in Italy.
Il bambù è un materiale molto interessante per la costruzione, ha delle caratteristiche eccezionali dal punto di vista strutturale, di resistenza, ed è molto leggero, quindi resistente quanto l'acciaio, però leggero 10 volte meno dell'acciaio, che lo rende un materiale eccezionale. Ho messo a punto un sistema costruttivo, un giunto con l'asse di acciaio, neoprene e bambù, con il quale non dobbiamo perforare e maltrattare il bambù, lo possiamo riutilizzare aggiungendo ulteriore plusvalore al materiale come rinnovabile e sostenibile. È un'interpretazione in chiave moderna del giunto tradizionale utilizzato in Asia legando il bambù con le corde.
Actually, in 2010, because this brand was also made in 2009.
La prima cosa che ci viene in mente è qualcosa di non
So without expecting, I became the bamboo architect in Italy.
che non appartiene qui, ma invece
So was in Colombia walking your body.
da tantissimi anni, magari non era appunto un materiale italiano, ma come non erano, se ci pensiamo, i pomodori piuttosto che era alimento.
Why bamboo in Italy? I say, why coffee in Italy? There's no coffee plants in Italy. Why Italian coffee? I told you, bamboo can have the same. You know that the Italian technique of make coffee, Italian was by creating the machine. Created as part of the culture. So here I'm doing kind of the same bamboo in Europe.
Il bambù, dicevo, segue la stessa strada del caffè, nel senso che è arrivato in Italia tanto tempo, e la creatività, la sensibilità e l'amore per la bellezza.
Okay. So now maybe I learn now. So this is now we go to a little larger scale. This was the first bamboo biennale in China, architecture biennale. And I had the chance to be close to Simon Veles, and also Ken Gokuma from Japan, and Von Trungia from Vietnam, and also we worked in architects invited. And it was a chance to explore, to experiment. So I thought it was a chance to get the connection and see if it was possible to bring it up to a larger scale. So I added to the kit, I added some more elements. I had the chance to make it in aluminum. So you can imagine, maybe you think, well, it's expensive. Well, if you do one house, it is a little expensive. But if you produce, because it's an aluminum, it's a mold, the more you produce, it's like industrial design, right? So Milano, capital of design, this joint comes from Milano, and it's a joint that you can repeat. The more you repeat it, the less it costs, because you use the mold. So this joint has this concept that you can just repeat it and use it, and the more houses you make, the more the less it will potentially cost. And also introduce prefabrication into the bamboo construction. Modularity, prefabrication, and industrial design as a construction technique. Originally the walls were in stone, but when I visited the little town in China, they had beautiful rammed earth walls. So we used rammed earth for the walls. And they were not specialized manpower, because you think that China, everybody knows how to build with bamboo. Actually, it's not true. It's difficult to find manpower to build with bamboo. So there was locals. And being aluminum is lighter. It was studied by Princeton University, a case study. And something that is amazing in bamboo, I don't know if you ever think about, or when you visit a construction site of a concrete, it's cold, gray, humid. Bamboo construction sites are beautiful. Actually, sometimes I think, I hope we don't finish yet because it's so beautiful, the construction site. And in this case, like it can happen here in Philippines, even the scaffolding is in bamboo. So the scaffolding is in bamboo, the structure is in bamboo. It's amazing. In combining glass, bamboo, steel, making this mix, is trying to bring bamboo into the cities, because we all have been building mostly in places where the bamboo has at the moment less impact in terms of environment. If the cities, we start seeing buildings in the cities made of bamboo, then we're making a bigger impact, positive impact to the environment. So these projects, as I mentioned before, they're for the 4 seasons. They're calculated for resisting the snow. They have facades that are performing airtight facades, etc. So from the structural point of view, it has no bracing, because inside of the grid, these elements are like boxes that come inside. Our boxes, they have the bracing, the facade. The box has the bracing, and this works as bracing, invisible bracings, because I thought that as an architect, I thought that bracing, a house with bracing, it doesn't look as nice. There's another little video. How can we try? The video, would you put the video, or should I try? Oh.
Completely designed in synthetic.
Something weird.
So, when you think about plywood,
Everybody like they use a conventional lumber. We go back up.
you've got buildings still standing in Vichy.
Sorry?
Is the building still there?
Yes, it has some critics elements, because the idea of the joint, that it's a right connection joint, is that you can replace elements. And maintenance, as was mentioned by Professor Garciano, is a key issue, and has not had enough maintenance. This one. So there's some critics. Oh, there's some. Sorry, that is deformed.
Our joinery also needs to adapt
It's
bamboo to existing
French.
processes and practices. Nowadays, all over the world,
Looks like a skyscraper. In me too, like a skyscraper.
The engineers
Sorry, guys.
before during the construction, doing a joint, they calculated your
Okay.
design first. It's very important.
I know what is happening. Thankfully, it was short. It's okay. Let's continue fasting. And then going to a larger scale. This is a 32-meter span arch. So it's for INBAR, which is the International Bamboo and Rattan Organization. And actually, it's their first pavilion made of bamboo. And it's for an expo, the Agricultural Expo 2019 in Beijing. But there was already the will of making a permanent building. And it's a permanent building, as the house before, that has some maintenance problems, as I mentioned. I have to accept it. And I'm trying to to help, but it depends on the client. He's building now. You know. Anyways, this building, you see the glass facades are thought for natural ventilation. And here comes from the concept to the yeah, so the idea was to make like the building was together with the earth, trying to make as much as possible to make a pavilion that was connected with the land. And the beautiful part, as I mentioned before, is going to choose the bamboo, follow all the selection and protection, etc. And in this case, bending. And we only use concrete for the supports of the poles, but there's no concrete slab. So also in this case, the construction bidding was won by the University of Chongqing in China. And so they really got into it. They said, okay, let's only use concrete. You know, it's easy to make a slab, but in this case, each element, they're connected with the metallic tubes underground. So it's like an arch and arrow. And these are we use about 18 bamboo poles from each arch. And for not using concrete, I could not use we did this project from the winning the competition to the opening, 9 months. It was crazy. So we had not the chance to test the metallic joints I designed, but my challenge was then, okay, we're gonna perforate bamboo, which I usually don't, but I don't want to use concrete or cement. So this element that you see here is laminated bamboo. And the balls pass through the laminated bamboo, and the laminated bamboo avoids limits the movement and then the cracking. That was the way we managed. And all the testing was in the labs of Chongqing University. And in this case, there was specialized manpower. Here we're building during winter, and they're working there under 10 degrees. So because it opened the 1st of May. So they started the construction like in December or something like that. It was quite crazy. Natural light, and for the ceiling we also use this kind of weaving, which is very typical. We have it also in Colombia. We see it very much for sure. We also here in Philippines and in China as well, Japan. And I use this weaving but in a larger scale. I just made it larger and use it for the whole ceiling because, as you will see, we have just the bamboo arches. On the top there's a steel deck, and then there is just earth and plants on the roof. So as aesthetics for the opaque parts and for filtering the light in a very warm way, we use this kind of weaving. In the facade, so again, the facades, to demonstrate that bamboo can be contemporary, can be modern, can be to the cities, like in this case in Beijing. So we made contemporary glass facades. They're openable because the idea is to have as much as possible natural ventilation. The name Bamboo Eye is because of the reflection on the water. Actually, it's a name that the people gave it to me. We call it the bamboo. We call it the inward bamboo garden, and then people start calling it Bamboo Eye, and we thought it was much more beautiful. And so, see, this is directly on the steel deck. There is of course the waterproofing membranes, and then the plants. So they're planting the roots, which is quite beautiful, and the earth gives the weight to the structure. So for making the glass facades right under the arches, we calculated the amount of earth that should give the earth, the soil, is always humid, which is great for climate control, especially during summer, because the steel deck is cold, right? And this cold comes inside. It's the largest bamboo structure building because there's a bridge that is like a couple of meters bigger in China, but it's the largest permanent bamboo building until now. The exhibitions were, of course, everything about bamboo, the bamboo furniture, etc. Let's hope this video doesn't. one slide ahead, so it will. Okay. And I will show you a little project because we did it with the Italian bamboo. That's the fun part of it. Italian bamboo is a small bamboo that has been there for centuries. So it's called Viriclaudescens, and it's small but very resistant. And there's in the south of Italy, in Ischia Island, which is in front of Naples. For many centuries, they have this religious festival, which is Santa Anna, which is for Saint Anna. And so they make floating pavilions, and they make a competition between these. It's a competition between the different, let's say, teams of the little island, and they asked me to design for them one of these pavilions. So I thought to make when it's floating, it's a bamboo flower, and then after the festival finishes, so the festival already finished, and in October, September, they will put it in the land, and the same structure transforms into a bamboo shell. They're going to put it in a park. It will be like an acoustic structure, an acoustic shell. An acoustic shell. Maybe it's batteries or something. Yeah. Oh. So this is they're in Tuscany. Tuscany close to there. I have part of the owners of a bamboo forest, and they have a workshop, and they make several things in bamboo. So there we came with a little model, and we're working on the structure. I was explaining them the idea, and then we designed the joints. So this is how the structure changes. So the studies. Oh. So here they're assembling. It's always dry mounted, not perforating the bamboo. And see, this is already the for each team they give them the same platform. And instead of the platform, so then a theater company did a presentation. They got like the second prize. So it becomes a medusa, jellyfish, because this island used to be a Greek island. So the Greek mythology. It was floating, and so I don't have yet pictures of the structure as a shell, because they will do it in September. You see the castle on the island, and that's how small the structure is. But it was quite a fit and this is a competition a couple of months ago we won in China, and it's in the border with Tibet. So it's a Tibetan culture, and they have this respect of the stones. The stones are a very important part of the Tibetan culture. So instead of making buildings, because it's a very, how to say, natural environment, we want to make buildings that looks like stones, big stones. And here we're exploring laminated bamboo. Hopefully, if the project goes on, because there's some changes in the government and things will delay, but Professor Shah will be our engineer partner. He's going by himself. And I think this is all for. Yeah. Thank you very much.